Kwababa full episode review, July 31, 2026. Poor Zwelakhe lost his temper and attacked his brother. He has spent months smiling through the pain, biting his tongue every time his family whispered behind his back, and today, the man finally broke. Zwelakhe didn't just raise his voice at Mloba, he grabbed him, and for a few terrifying seconds, this family drama turned into something nobody expected to see on their screens tonight. If you have been following Kwababa, you already know this family has been sitting on a mountain of secrets, and today that mountain finally came crashing down. Stay with me, because I am about to break down everything that happened, scene by scene, and trust me, by the end of this video you are going to have so much to say in the comments. Before we get into tonight's fireworks, let's quickly remind ourselves where we left things, because this episode did not come out of nowhere. For weeks now, Zwelakhe has been carrying a weight that would break most people. Ever since the whisper started that he might not be a true blood Mackay's, his entire sense of self has been unraveling in slow motion. He built his whole identity around being the first son of the late Bab Mackay's, the one who was going to carry the family name and protect the empire his father left behind. Imagine finding out, in your adult years, that the man you worshipped your entire life might not even be your biological father. That kind of news does not just hurt, it rearranges everything you thought you knew about yourself. And the person who could have ended this uncertainty months ago, Mombokozi herself, chose silence instead. Slindale knew the truth and sat on it, and when her own son finally confronted her, wanting nothing more than honesty, she treated it like an inconvenience, like he was overstepping by wanting to know his own history. That is the kind of pain that festers. It is one thing to be lied to by strangers, but when it is your own mother protecting a secret about your own father, that cuts in a completely different way. Zwelakhe has been walking around with that unresolved hurt for weeks, smiling in family meetings, trying to hold the household together, while quietly falling apart inside. Then there is Mloba. Now, if there is one character this season who has tested our patience, it is him. While Zwelakhe has been trying to hold this family's dignity together, going toe-to-toe with Dumisani, trying to protect the business, trying to keep the peace between the Mackay's and the Motongs so that his wedding to Bahumi can actually happen, Mloba has been out here playing a completely different game. Sneaking around, taking risky offers from people who clearly do not have the family's best interest at heart, hiding documents, being caught red-handed rifling through paperwork that was none of his business. Every time it looks like he is about to come clean, he finds a new way to dodge accountability, and every time the family tries to shield him from consequences, it is always Zwelakhe who ends up cleaning up the mess quietly, without recognition, without so much as a thank you. So when tonight's episode opens, the tension is already sitting there like a pot that has been simmering for far too long. Zwelakhe walks into the house looking like a man who has not slept properly in days. His eyes are tired, his shoulders are heavy, and anyone who has been paying attention to his journey this season can tell he is barely keeping it together. He finds Mloba in the middle of another one of his half-explanations, trying to smooth-talk his way out of a decision that once again put the family's name and money at risk. And this time, instead of the usual composed, big brother patience we are used to seeing from Zwelakhe, something in him just gives way. It starts as words. Zwelakhe wants straight answers, no more excuses, no more vague promises that things will be different. He wants to know exactly what Mloba has gotten the family into this time, because every single time these situations blow up, it is Zwelakhe who has to go begging, apologizing, smoothing things over with people the family cannot afford to upset. Mloba, true to form, does not want to take responsibility. Instead of owning up, he throws it back at his brother, accusing Zwelakhe of always acting like the golden child, like he is the only one allowed to make decisions in this family, like everyone else's voice matters less than his. He even brings up the paternity rumor, and honestly, that was the moment you could feel the whole room shift. Because that is the one wound Zwelakhe cannot afford to have poked right now. To have his own brother throw his uncertain parentage in his face, in the middle of an argument about accountability, as if it somehow disqualifies him from having a say in the family he has sacrificed everything for, that was low, and everybody watching at home knew it the second the words left Mloba's mouth. You could see it on Zwelakhe's face, the exact moment something inside him cracked. Weeks of holding it together, weeks of being the responsible one, weeks of being lied to by his own mother, and now his own brother is using that pain as a weapon in an argument he started to avoid taking responsibility. That is when things stopped being just a shouting match. Zwelakhe crossed the room and grabbed Mloba by his shirt, and for a moment it genuinely looked like this was about to turn into a full-blown physical fight between two brothers who used to be close before all of this family chaos started pulling them apart. The shouting brought the rest of the household running. You could hear Mombokozi's voice cutting through the noise, panicked, trying to get between her sons, and honestly, watching her scramble to protect the peace in that moment hit differently, because this is a woman who could have prevented so much of this heartache months ago by simply telling the truth when she had the chance. It took more than one person to actually pull Zwelakhe off his brother. And what struck me most, watching this unfold, is that even in that moment of rage, you could tell this was not really about the argument in front of him. This was months of grief, betrayal, and exhaustion finally finding somewhere to go. Zwelakhe has spent this entire season being the strong one, the reliable one, the one who keeps the peace between families so that his relationship with Bhumi has a chance to survive all this drama, while nobody has really stopped to ask how he is holding up under all of it. Tonight, that question answered itself. Once the two brothers were separated, the silence that followed was almost louder than the shouting had been. Mloba stood there, straightening his shirt, looking somewhere between shaken and defiant, still not quite ready to admit that maybe, just maybe, some of what Zwelakhe said about his behavior was true. And Zwelakhe, chest heaving, looked around at his family, at his mother's frightened face, at the siblings who had rushed in to hold him back, and you could see the exact second the anger drained out of him and something closer to shame and heartbreak took its place. Because this is not the man Zwelakhe wants to be. He has spent his whole life trying to be the one who holds this family up, not the one who tears it down, and losing control like that in front of everyone was clearly the last thing he wanted. Mombokozi tried to speak, tried to smooth things over the way she always does, but this time nobody in that room was in the mood to let her paper over the cracks. One of the siblings finally said out loud what has probably been sitting under the surface of this family for weeks, that maybe if certain truths had come out sooner, gently, honestly, instead of being dragged out through DNA tests and hallway confrontations, none of them would be standing here right now watching two brothers nearly come to blows. It was a quiet accusation, but it landed hard, and for once, Mombokozi did not have a comeback ready. Meanwhile, in a separate but connected thread this episode, we also got another glimpse into just how deep Mloba's secret dealings actually go. It is becoming clearer by the week that whatever arrangement he has gotten himself into is bigger than a few dodgy documents hidden behind his back. The people he is dealing with are patient, calculating, and clearly playing a longer game than Mloba realizes. Every time he thinks he has bought himself more time, the wall seems to close in a little further, and it is only a matter of time before this catches up with him in a way the whole family will feel, not just him. There is also the small but telling detail of Dumisani's continued involvement in all of this. He has positioned himself as someone offering the family a way out of their financial troubles, but every offer he makes seems to come with strings attached, strings that always somehow benefit him more than the Mackay's family. Watching him operate this season, it is hard not to wonder whether this so-called generosity is actually just another long game, one designed to slowly pull the family further under his influence while they are too distracted by their own internal drama to notice what is really happening. And then there is Bhumi. Through all of this, she has remained one of the few steady presences in Zwelakhe's life, and tonight's episode reminded us exactly why their relationship has become such an anchor point in this story. When Zwelakhe finally stepped outside after the confrontation, trying to catch his breath, trying to process what had just happened. It was her voice that seemed to reach him when nobody else's could. She did not lecture him, she did not tell him he was wrong for losing his temper, she simply reminded him that he does not have to carry every single one of his family's burdens alone, that it is allowed for him to be tired, to be hurt, to not have all the answers. In a season full of tension and secrets, their relationship keeps standing out as one of the only genuinely honest connections on this show. By the end of the episode, nothing is really resolved. Mloba is still hiding whatever he is hiding. Mombokosi still has not fully reckoned with the damage her silence has caused. And Zwelakhe, for all his strength, has now shown the family, and all of us watching, that even the strongest person in the room has a breaking point. What this episode did brilliantly is remind us that this is not simply a paternity mystery or a business drama, it is a story about what happens when a family keeps choosing silence over honesty, and how long that silence can hold before it finally explodes. So where does this leave us heading into next week? If tonight's confrontation is anything to go by, I do not think this is the last time we see tension boil over between these brothers. Mloba is clearly not ready to come clean about what he is really involved in, and Zwelakhe is clearly done pretending everything is fine for the sake of keeping the peace. Add to that the fact that Mombokosi's secret is now out in the open, with siblings starting to speak up about how much damage her silence has caused, and you have all the ingredients for this family to either finally have the honest reckoning they need, or completely fall apart under the weight of everything they have been hiding from each other. What did you think of tonight's episode? Do you think Zwelakhe was justified in losing his temper, or do you think he crossed a line by putting his hands on his brother, no matter how much Mloba provoked him? And what about Mombokosi? Is it fair for the family to keep placing all the blame on her, or has enough time passed that everyone needs to focus on moving forward instead of relitigating the past? Drop your thoughts down in the comments, I read every single one, and let me know which storyline you are most invested in going into next week. If you enjoyed this recap, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode breakdown. I put these reviews out regularly, so hit that notification bell if you want to be the first to know when the next one drops. Thank you so much for watching, share this with a fellow Kwababa fan who needs to catch up, and I will see you in the next review. Take care of yourselves, and I will catch you next time. Disclaimer: this video is an independent, fan-made recap and commentary based on publicly available teasers and general storyline direction of the telenovela Kwababa, currently airing on Mzansi Magic. It reflects the reviewer's own interpretation and opinion for entertainment and discussion purposes, and is not an official transcript, press release, or affiliated production of the show's broadcaster or producers.